Well, the 2011 Ernst & Young Islamic Fund and Investment Report puts total Islamic funds and investment accounts at $292 billion, with assets under management growing roughly 10 to 15% per year. In today's installment of our Faith and Finance series, we take a closer look at a Sharia-compliant hedge fund. Eric Meyer is president and CEO of Shariah Capital, a Connecticut-based hedge fund. And in 2008, Global Finance magazine named Shariah Capital the best U.S. Islamic financial services firm. And this year, World Finance magazine named the firm the best Sharia-compliant hedge fund service provider. Eric joins us now live here in the studio. Eric, such a pleasure to have you join us, and a great third day to this series where we've been focused on Islamic finance and banking. But let me start off by asking you, Sharia-compliant hedge fund sounds like a contradiction in terms by all accounts. So explain what you do, what you can do, what you can't do.
Okay. Lisa, the contradiction may be in everyone assumes Islamic finance is about you can't take risk, and it's everything you are to take risk. The big issue is gambling. You're not supposed to gamble. So an Islamic hedge fund, the way I've put it together, is all about managing risk. I would argue that managing risk, where you define the rules very tightly, is the ultimate form of an Islamic investment.
So you have to avoid things like leverage.
That's correct.
Right, which is it seems to be a principle or a staple of most hedge funds, but you avoid leverage, no derivatives. That means no derivatives, no options.
Correct.
You can go long stocks, short stocks, and hold cash.
That's correct.
Now, you actually recruit hedge fund managers to work on this platform.
That's correct.
Do most of them object to what, or do most hedge fund managers say to you, why would I want to work under those constraints?
The biggest problem I always have when I go into a hedge fund manager is they always say, if you're going to give me screens and different conditions, I'm not interested here. I'm into total rates of returns here. I always respond to them, our metrics we put together actually are prudent. It's like what my dad taught me. It's you don't buy over-leveraged companies here. You don't use options. You don't use futures. If you buy hard assets where we focus, we really ask them to be stock pickers here. Focus on improving cash flows. If you stick to those guidelines, we say our performance actually has been better than some of the conventional hedge funds. In fact, most of the time we found that focusing on strong returns and forcing the discipline here has actually produced better returns than our conventional counterparts.
Now, what inspired you to start this fund, and do you see this as a rapidly growing sector?
Certainly it's going to be rapidly growing. Islamic finance is no different than any other type of finance where there's about 1.2 billion Muslims in the world. There's a very large accumulation of wealth in the Middle East. And Middle Eastern investors now are demanding that their investments be Sharia compliant here. When you look at the development in the world, in Islamic finance, you've seen that mutual funds have grown to be a very large portion. Sharia compliant real estate have become a very large portion, and now an Islamic bond, which is called a sukuk. So the natural evolution is, if people are looking to manage risk better and they are Sharia compliant, just going up the food chain of skill sets would be Sharia-compliant hedge funds. So the assumption is, if Islamic mutual funds have done well, Islamic real estate has done well, why wouldn't Islamic hedge funds, as people become educated and the returns prove that taking better managed risk actually produces stronger returns?
Now, you are telling me that you spoke to Blackstone, a manager there, very interested in working with you, or is definitely going to be working with you. Have you had a number of other hedge fund managers, big names, come to you and say, I'd like to actually do this? Well,
actually, there's a wonderful guy, Dan Rice, up at BlackRock. He, according to actually Bloomberg, has beaten 99.9% of other hedge fund managers out there for his long only and his hedge fund. I went to him 3 years ago and asked him if he'd consider running a fund for us, of which he agreed. I was blown away and surprised by it. It was wonderful. But his returns for us have been phenomenal. In fact, I believe the fund he ran for us actually was stronger than his conventional fund 2 years ago.
And just give me a quick answer in terms of investors, the types that you attract. We were speaking to Nick Kaiser of Amana Funds earlier. He has U.S.-based investors, but you can attract investors worldwide.
Our focus is predominantly offshore. Our focus is predominantly the Middle East. So our investors go from sovereign wealth all the way down to the common man on the street.
All right, Eric, such a pleasure to have you, and I wish we had more time. Unfortunately, we have to end it there. That was Eric Meyer, President and CEO of Shariah Capital. This is a Sharia-compliant hedge fund platform that he runs.